everybody? My name is Cutline3639. Welcome back to another video. Today, in this one, it's going to be another deck profile video. And in this one, it's going to be my updated Zombie Eldlich deck profile that I went 6-2 on day one of the YCS that happened this past weekend. So yeah, very good. I did okay with the deck. I think I still did very good considering a lot of competition with the deck. You know, people still figuring out the meta and stuff like that. Now, you might be asking yourself, wait a minute, 6-2, wasn't there like 11 rounds and there was a second day as well to the YCS? Yes, there was, but I chose not to go to the day 2 event because New Mexico over here has now opened up locals, and this was the first big locals that happened. Was going to be when the same time the day 2 happened. So I just decided to go to the locals instead of going to day 2 of the YCS. But I'm still very happy on what I did in the YCS. I think I did very good. And this deck is so much fun to play. It's very good. It had a lot of interaction with a lot of other decks and stuff like that. So yeah, enough talking for me. I think everyone wants to go into the deck profile. So let's do that. If you want to hear my stories from the YCS and stuff like that, we'll save that for the end of the video and stuff like that. So if you want to hear that, stay tuned until the end. But let's actually get into the deck profile, shall we? We'll start off with the monsters here. Of course, we're just still playing 2 Eldlich the Golden Lord. Eldlich the Golden Lord is absolutely amazing. The reason why it's probably the best control deck in the format. Yes, basically every deck in the format is control now. But I still very much like this deck. I like the engine and stuff like that. Playing at 2, this does actually come up where I want to sometimes play 3 because, again, people know what to banish in this deck. But I think 2 is a good ratio. 3 might be a little too much in this. Now on to the zombie engine. We're going 3 Uni-Zombie here. Uni-Zombie, absolutely important starter to the deck. Oh my god, Uni-Zombie, if you open this up and they don't have a negation, you can just start getting plays out and stuff like that. You can use its effect to send Banshee to get Zombie World out onto the field. You can use its effect to either send Lord as well to get your Eldlich engine going as well. This card is just so very good. Absolutely, you need 3 of that card. And there's a little bit of a glare because I am recording this kind of late at night where it's kind of dark, so I have to put my light here and you can see there's a little bit of a glare there as well. I do apologize for that. Now on to one-ofs for the monsters. We're playing 1 Doom King Baylor Drock, which again is a part of the zombie engine. Again, a lot of people might want to play 2 of this card. I feel like it's a brick in this deck if you end up playing more than just 1. I think 1 is perfectly enough, but it is still a very good card, and I would understand if you do want to play it at 2, because it's still a good card for the negation. You can get the banish and stuff like that. This is absolutely a great card, but I do play it just as a one-of. We're playing 1 Glow Up Bloom right now as well. Again, this is just typical stuff. You can send, if you already have Zombie World, you can go Uni-Zombie, send the Bloom effect, able to spell something like the Baylor Drock or Eldlich, depending on what you want to do. Very good there. And then the last monster here is Necro World Banshee. Yes, I am playing 1 of. A lot of people do want to play 2 of this in their deck. Again, I'm fine with the ratio. We'll get into that once we get into the spells and traps and stuff. But a very good card to get your searching with the Zombie World and stuff like that. Very, very good. But that is it for the entire monsters there. Yeah, we only play, I think this is, what is this, 8 monsters we're playing? That's all we're playing for Eldlich today, because again, it's more of a spell and trap kind of thing to control your opponent and stuff like that. Now on to the spells and traps. Starting off with 3 Zombie World. Again, you're playing the zombie engine in the Zombie Eldlich deck, of course. Zombie World, holy shit, this thing can fuck up cards really, fuck up decks really good. Most decks get fucked up by Zombie World. Things like Tri-Brigade gets fucked up by dinosaurs. Things like dinosaurs get fucked up by Zombie World and stuff like that. Zombie World can fuck up a lot of decks in this format by itself, but mixed with other cards such as Rivalry, which we'll get into later, it's also still a very good card. And you always want to remember that they cannot tribute summon monsters except for zombie monsters. I know it doesn't come up that much, but when it comes up, it's a very huge come up for that. So make sure you do remember that effect of Zombie World, because it does have that effect. Next thing up, we're playing 3 Super Poly. How's this thing at 3? I have absolutely no idea. This thing is stupid powerful. It should not be at 3, but it is a still very good card for this deck. You have a lot of targets in your extra deck for this card. Absolutely amazing. Super Poly probably should be like at 1, or like honestly, but you know, they have it at 3, and this deck takes good advantage of it, especially mixed with Zombie World, because you have your Dragon Nether Soul Dragon to go into. Absolutely amazing there. Now we go into the Eldlich engine here, which is 3 Cursed Outlands, which is a very good card for the deck. Again, this is just able to start searching your engines, things like Conquistador or Hakado or the Eldlich and stuff like that. Then if it's sent to graveyard, send one of those cards I just named to the graveyard, which can be very, very, very good. Absolutely great card. Absolutely want to see 3 of because it's not searchable, unlike all the other Eldlich cards in the deck. This is the one card that is not searchable, so you do want to play 3 of it. We are playing 2 Pot of Prosperity. I'm only playing 2. I think I like the ratio of only playing 2 Pot of Prosperity. I think 3 might be a little too much, because again, yes, Pot of Prosperity is good, but in this deck, when you just, draw spells and traps, you're not trying to go into combos, you're just trying to get either to your Uni-Zombie, or into, like, Rivalry, or Zombie World, or even Super Poly in that case. That's the only reason why Pot of Prosperity is in here, but I do like Pot of Prosperity being in here. Now on to some one-ofs for the deck. We got Black Awakening here, which is, again, just another great card, especially in Zombie World, because if you already have Eldlich, you can end up pulling out Baylor Drock or Uni-Zombie or Banshee off this effect. It's absolutely amazing. Just remember that. A lot of people forget that the elixirs can actually pull out other zombies, not just Eldlich, because a lot of people are just used to just pulling out Eldlich with the engine. But this engine can also pull out other zombie monsters, so you do want to remember that. Playing the White Destiny as well. This might be a little... a lot of people might not be playing this, but I am playing this as well. I think this comes up very little, but when it comes up, it absolutely is crucial, especially in a grind match, which happens a lot in this format. This can very much come up in play, so absolutely want to stick with that. And then 7 Cities of the Golden Land, if we don't get a kind of a glare here. Very good card. Very also people might not play because it's a very breaky card. You don't want to see it in your hand, but I'm playing 42 card deck, so that doesn't happen that often. But yes, it's a very, very good card to pull it into your fusion monsters. Like Eldlich, the Mad Golden Lord, can absolutely do that. It's absolutely amazing. Then you're playing like against another control deck that sets in spells and traps. They can make sure you don't respond with one of them. Absolutely amazing. Love this card. But that is it for the spells and traps for the deck. Now on to the traps, which half the deck is traps. Yeah, you heard that correctly. Starting off with the Eldlich engine, we're playing 3 Scarlet of Sanguine. You remember when people wanted this limited to 1? Because I definitely do. Yes, Scarlet at 3, without a doubt. It's searchable. It ends up getting your Eldlich from deck and stuff as a quick effect speed. Absolutely amazing. Can set a Golden Land. If you end up already having Eldlich, you can go into Banshee or into Baylor Drock and stuff like that. Absolutely amazing. Of course, you want to play 3 of them. Playing 3 Conquistadors as well, that pop is very, very good, especially if you already have, of course, you have to have Eldlich on board for its effect to go off. But absolutely amazing just to get that pop effect, especially against some decks that can actually screw things up. Like Parent Kids, they need their normal summon to go into the Link monsters. If you end up popping with a Conquistador, that can absolutely end their turn. Same thing with the Tribe Engage, but they have multiple ways to get into other stuff. But sometimes just popping the one Tribe Engage and make sure they don't go into Link monsters could be very, very crucial. Playing 2 Hakado. This might be a little interesting as well. People might play this at 3. I'm playing it at 2. The Banish is still very good with it, but I think 3 might be a little too much. Again, I probably should be playing this at 3, but I am not. The Banish is still super good, especially against like the Sky Striker matchup or something like that, where this can just banish any card, get the Engage off, get the Ray off the graveyard. It's absolutely amazing. Also, remember that for like Dry Draw and Tribe Engage and stuff like that. Could also come up with that. Now on to non-Eldlich engine. We're playing 3 Rivalry of the Warlords. Absolutely crucial card in this deck, especially when you have Zombie World on the field with this. Now, this actually comes up a lot because Tribe Engage ends up not having all the same types. They can not go into like Link monsters and stuff like that. Prevents them from going Omen if they have like Tribe Engage Kit or, Karas or something like that on the board. It can also screw up Prank Kids because it can, they all are different types and stuff like that. And especially if you have Zombie World on the field. Zombie World Rivalry the Warlord lock is one of the best locks in the entire game. As long as you're not versing another zombie deck. That you got to remember that for sure. But it's still a very good card that comes up a lot, especially in Striker. If you end up knowing it's a Striker before they even normal summon Raid, you can activate this card to make sure they're locked into Raid and can't go into Link summons and stuff like that. That is very, very crucial. 3 Ice Dragon's Prism, especially in this. It's a very good card by itself, but it's also a very good card when paired with Zombie World. Zombie World is absolutely amazing in this deck. I told you Zombie World can screw up a lot of engines in today's current meta. Ice Dragon Prism just makes Zombie World makes Ice Dragon Prisms even more better because, of course, everything is zombie, so you can end up just banishing anything you want, regardless of the type, thanks to Zombie World making everything zombie. So it's absolutely, absolutely amazing. It's by itself a good card, but with Zombie World is absolutely ridiculous. Now into a card some people might not play, but I am playing because how good this card is. I am playing 3 Torrential Tribute. Holy shit, this card is absolutely ridiculous in today's current format. Yes, in some matchups, things like Drytron and stuff like that, Torrential is not that good. That's when I would side out and stuff like that. But Torrential against most decks can be very, very crucial against, especially if you don't have that much of a setup. You only have Torrential. Torrential is a very, very ridiculous DM card and absolutely worth playing. And it's the reason why I'm playing 42 cards in this deck as well. It's so I can fit Torrential Tribute in this deck, because Torrential Tribute is just absolutely fucking amazing. It's just too good not to play, and why I'm playing it at 3. And then the last trap card is Solemn Strike. Solemn Strike, of course, just being a really good negation for monster effects. You also negate summons if you want to, as well, just to absolutely play 1500 and stuff like that. Absolutely a ridiculous card. But that is it for the entire main deck, however. Very interesting. I do not play hand traps in this entire build for the deck, which is very interesting. Some decks do. I do not, because I feel like the traps are enough to win you the games, even if you end up going second and stuff like that. But without further ado, though, let's actually get into the extra deck here. Let me just put my side deck over here. Starting off with 2 Dragon Necro Nether Soul Dragon. Again, this is a super poly target, especially with Zombie World on the field. You can also pull this out non-super poly ways using like 7 Cities of the Golden Land and stuff like that. So absolutely good card. This is just a super poly target. Its effect doesn't really come up. It can actually counter Dragoon if you end up having Dragoon, or reversing Dragoon and already wasted negation and stuff. This can actually counter the Dragoon if you need to. But really, besides that, the effect really doesn't come up after that. It's just really just that super poly target you're playing it for. We're playing 2 Eldlich, the Mad Golden Lord. Absolutely amazing card of this. Again, it's a super poly target if you end up versing the mirror match and stuff like that. But it's also just a good way with 7 Cities of the Golden Realm, which you're usually pulling out with 7 Cities of the Golden Realm. Absolutely great card. Cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. Has 3,800 body on it as well. And then it can actually take control of your opponent's cards as well if you tribute off a zombie monster, which is absolutely ridiculous in this deck. Now on to just other generic super poly targets. We're playing 1 Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. It just requires 2 darks. Its effect is like okay and stuff like that, but just remember Starving Venom Fusion is a super poly target and stuff like that. Same thing with Predaplant Dragon Stapilia. Again, this is only in the deck because if people go to Verte and then Verte make into Dragoon, if you have the super poly, you can use the Verte and Dragoon to go into this card. Absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, that's why I only play that. It does have a negation effect as well if you end up pulling it out as well. 1 Mud Dragon of the Swamp. Holy shit, this card is very, very good. Oh my god, do not underestimate how good this card is. Especially against Drytron, a deck you wouldn't think would have super poly targets. This card makes the deck being able to super poly and stuff like that absolutely crucial. I would actually play this at 2 if you want to, because this card is absolutely ridiculous. Came up a lot in the YCS, and then when I went to locals, also came up then as well. Absolutely a ridiculous card. I would play probably 2, honestly, after doing the YCS. We're playing 1 Salomon Great Violet Chimera. This is again because Salomon Great is being seen a lot more play, and the reason why it's in the extra deck. But I didn't verse 1 single Salomon Great in the YCS or locals, so this ended up really not mattering and just ended up being a banished target for Pot of Prosperity. But again, I wouldn't take it out because if you do end up versing the Salomon Great deck, that is somewhat popular. A lot of people did play Salomon Great this past weekend in the YCS. This can absolutely come up. That's why I'm keeping it in the deck. The one card I probably would take out, though, is World Legacy Guard Dragon Almerduk. Yeah, this is just a super poly target. Requires 3 link monsters. Doesn't come up that much, honestly. This was really just here if I versed Bird up and stuff like that. Didn't really come up that much. I would actually take this out, probably put another Mud Dragon of the Swamp in there instead. But yeah, it just ended up being a Pot of Prosperity banish, and that's about it. So that is actually it for the entire Fusion for the extra deck, but we do got a couple of extra deck spots left. For XYZ, we're still playing Constellar Pleiades, because again, the Golden Land spells and traps like Conquistador and Hawketo can go into it. Quick effect, just return one card on your opponent's field back to the hand, is still very good for an effect. And then the other XYZ, we're playing Super Dreadnought, Rail Cannon, Gustav, Max. Again, just another great card, especially in time, if you want to do that in time. But usually you can end up going into, if you end up not killing him straight away, go into this. Go into a 2000 directly. Again, you don't need both Eldliches in this deck because for some reason they made Eldlich the Mad Golden Lord a level 10 for some reason, because you can use this card and another Eldlich to go into that if you want to. I don't know why they made Eldlich the Mad Golden Lord a level 10. But that's it for the XYZ monsters. Now on to the Link monsters, which is very, very crucial. All of them came up in the YCS, and absolutely, will tell you the stories once I get into the end of the deck profile here. Playing one Avern Savior. This can come up. This has a damage step effect. Again, just get either zombie monsters to the graveyard, but it has a damage calculation effect if it battles an opponent's monster. During damage calculation, send one zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard. That's a cost, by the way. That's not just a part of its effect. That's a cost. That's an absolutely great cost. But it also has an effect where if the monster it's battling will lose 200 attack for each, will lose 200 attack times the level of the monster you sent to graveyard. So if you send Eldlich, which is a level 10, that will end up losing 2,000 attack. And so that's absolutely amazing and why I have it in the deck. Playing one Vampire Sucker, which is absolutely something I was about to take out of the deck until the new format came out. Vampire Sucker now is a really good way for Sky Striker if you end up versing the Sky Striker matchup. Why is that? Vampire Sucker's effect can let you special summon one monster from your opponent's graveyard back out onto the field, and then you, mandatory effect when a zombie monster is special summoned from the graveyard, draw one card. Vampire Sucker is absolutely amazing, because when you summon the Vampire Sucker and you activate the effect targeting one of their Sky Striker monsters, they have to basically start responding with their Sky Striker spell cards, because again, you're going and forcing them to do it, because again, that monster is successfully summoned to their field, turns off all their spells and traps and stuff like that. Absolutely came up against the Sky Striker matchup, and I don't know the reason why I ended up winning one of those matchups as well. Absolutely amazing card. Do not forget about Vampire Sucker in this deck. We're playing one Link Spider as well, just to link off like Golden Land spells and traps. That's the only reason why we're playing it in the deck. And then one Link Karibo. Only target for Link Karibo is Glow Up Bloom. That's just if you end up hard drawing it in your opening hand, you can normal summon Bloom, link off to Link Karibo, and then you have your way to get the Bloom to graveyard. But that is it for the entire extra deck. Now on to the side deck. Again, this can be any side deck you want, just ends up what you preferred to see again. I am playing 3 Droll and Lockbird, again, for the Drytron matchup. Again, that's the only reason why I'm playing it. Probably for FTKs as well. I ended up forcing an FTK in the YCS. So there's that, and that really came up for that as well. But I never reversed Drytron in the YCS, but I would still keep it in because, well, Drytron exists. 3 Artifact Lancia as well. Again, Artifact Lancia is just super good against the Dino matchup, against the Tri-Brigade matchup, against a Phantom Knight matchup, or just against another another Eldlich deck as well. Absolutely crucial card. I would play at 3. 2 Nibiru's. I'm playing only 2 because the Nibiru actually doesn't come up that much anymore in this format, thanks to people just playing control decks all the time. This only really comes up against like Virtual World, or honestly, Virtual World is the only deck that's really coming to mind right now. That's the only reason why I'm playing 2, because it doesn't really come up that much anymore in a control format, and that's why I'm playing 2 Nibiru. Oh, the Salomon as well. That's the other deck I was forgetting. Spells and Traps. I'm playing 3 Twin Twister and a Harpy's Feather Duster as some sort of back row removal. Again, just against another mirror match, another control deck against the Sky Striker matchup. That's the reason why I'm playing that. And then for the last 3 cards, I am playing Solemn Judgment, because Solemn Judgment is just an absolutely ridiculous card. Yeah, Solemn Judgment, absolutely good. Especially, I don't main deck it. I'd rather have it in the side deck, because I would rather have it in Game 2, Game 3. Game 1, I was expecting to see a lot of back row hate in the main deck, but that actually ended up not coming up that much, so that ended up really not mattering. But that is it for the entire deck profile. So yeah, hope you guys did enjoy the deck profile. Now for the people who want to stay for the combo portion of the video, combo with like exclamation marks, because again, this is control decks. There's really not that much combo lines, but there are some combo lines I will show you in the video. And then after the end of that, I will go into detail on my YCS. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into that combo part. Alright, so now into some combo lines here. We're just going to split it in half here. It is shuffled now. It shouldn't be organized like I was in the deck profile. Cut it in half here. Our starting hand will be Strike, White Destiny, Prism, Outland, and Uni-Zombie. Okay, so this is a very interesting hand. This is why I wanted to show a combo version of this. So we have Uni-Zombie in hand, and this is the reason why this is crucial, because Uni-Zombie has a lot of plays you can go with this, especially in this hand. So we're going to go ahead and activate Cursed Outlands here. So we go Cursed Outlands. I know there's a glare. I'm sorry about that. Go Cursed Outlands. We'll pay 100 to try to bait out any negations. We don't want to summon Uni-Zombie straight away. We want to bait out like the Ash Blossom or something like that. They end up having it. But again, we're just assuming if we're playing against no negation here. And then depending on this hand here, really interesting hand I got here. Because I drew the White Destiny, which end up you don't really want to draw all the time. But you end up happening in this. I would actually just end up searching a Lord here. Get a good shuffle on this deck just real quick. And then we'll go ahead and then normal summon the Uni-Zombie. And then we'll declare effect. We'll actually send from hand first, sending a Lord to graveyard. We'll send a graveyard there. And now we have options. This is level 4 now. I don't have dice on hand, I don't think. Let me see. Oh, no, I do. So we'll just do level 4. So now it's level 4, targeting itself, of course, because there's no other target here. Now you can either set White Destiny or Cursed, do Lord effects and Cursed Outlands. You can also do White Destiny if you want to as well, but Cursed Outlands get you advantage straight away. We'll add and then special summon Eldlich to the field, and then we'll do Cursed Outlands effect here. We'll end up just sending, I usually send like Conquistador because I play 3 Conquistador and only 2 Haketos, so I'll send a Conquistador here. And then we'll go ahead and then just do Uni-Zombie's a second effect, targeting himself to make him a 5. And then we'll end up sending everyone's favorite card in Zombie, Eldlich, if I can end up finding it. Where the hell is it? Sending a Necroworld Banshee to him. Now, of course, we don't know our matchup, but if you end up versing Striker and you're going first knowing you're playing Striker, you can also do White Destiny, summon Banshee, go into a Link 2, go into, actually, that's a dumb play. What am I saying? Never mind. That's a dumb play. I was thinking of something, but ends up not mattering anyways. So we send Banshee here, and then basically typical stuff. You'll just set these 3 face down, and we'll go Banshee effect, or we'll not activate Banshee's effect, and here is why. We'll banish Conquistador during the end phase here. And we'll go ahead and do... Where the hell is it? We'll end up sending a Scarlet here. Now, here's the reason why you don't want to activate Banshee straight away. Because if they end up having the back row removal, something like Lightning Storm, or they draw the one-off Harpy's Feather Duster, or something like that, you want to be prepared. So let's say in this case you pass turn, and they end up activating like Harpy's Feather Duster. I would actually go, we'll go Chainlink 1 Scarlet, and the other cards are like White Destiny, Prism, and Strike. So it ends up not really mattering. So I'd actually let those 3 go to graveyard, but resolve Scarlet first. So if they end up drawing the back row, you have a backup option of summoning if I can find the fucking card here, summon out the Baylor Drock. And then you have a backup option now, because now that their back row hate is now gone, you can end up banishing Banshee from all this pile, if I can end up finding Banshee here. You'll end up banishing Banshee. This is off screen, my bad. The Banshee area is off screen. And go ahead and activate yourself a Zombie World. If I can find a Zombie World. And there's the Zombie World. And now that's your backup option. If they end up having that back row hate, at least you have Banshee and Baylor Drock to fall back on, and this is also has the protection as well. So now, instead of, you know, having the strike and stuff, they wasted the back row, but you still have Baylor Drox, Negate, and Banish with Zombie World on field. Like I said, Zombie World alone can fuck up some decks in this format, so you do got to remember that as well. So there's just simple combo stuff, just typical things of like Uni Zombie can send anything and stuff. Just remember that and stuff to make sure not to immediately use Banshee straight away. You want to make sure that they don't have back row, or if they use it straight away, you can just activate Banshee to have some sort of Zombie World on board and have a backup option just in case. So yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more content. Oh yeah, forgot about me telling my story. So let me get. And then I know this is becoming just like a long episode. I just realized how long I've been recording for. But yeah, now on to the stories of my YCS 6 and 2 day 1 stuff. So round 1, I ended up versing, what did I verse round 1? I ended up versing Tribagage in that matchup. Now, game 1 was decided by one card and one card alone, Zombie World and Rivalry of the Warlords. Now, ended up only being one card, and the reason why that is the case is because I activated Pot of Prosperity, banishing 6, he allowed it. I ended up searching Rivalry and then activating Zombie World. Now, these two cards by themselves can fuck up Tribagage, but together can really screw up any deck for that matter. So I activated Zombie World. He ended up having no back row hate, and the Zombie World just ended up just sticking on the field for the longest time because he just was like, I don't want to get rid of Zombie World, then Rivalry of the Warlords all of a sudden just gets turned on and stuff like that. So there was really just no way for him to get both of them off field, and that's why it ended up, I never activated Rivalry, but the threat of Rivalry of the Warlords was there, and he knew it was there, so he ended up conceding in game 1 there. But in game 2, we ended up going into a really good grind match. I put Lancia into the main deck, but I didn't see it in game 2. So we really went into a grind match. I took out both of his Ominous Omens, but it just wasn't enough. He ended up killing me. I think I ended up drawing like Eldlich and Baylor Drox like late in the game, so that ended up really fucking me as well. But in game 3, I set up Rivalry of the Warlords by itself, and he ended up not drawing the back row hit, so that ended up just fizzling out, and I took round 1, so I took the win in round 1. Round 2, I versed like an Earth like FTK deck, or like it was a machine FTK playing super heavy samurais and stuff like that. There was one card and one card alone that fucked that deck as well. It's called Zombie World. If you know the current FTK, they have to go to like Reproducus to go ahead and go into what am I trying to say here? Go into like Reproducus to turn their types into different types. Doesn't really matter when you have Zombie World on the field, because Zombie World just make those types of zombies once again. So it kind of shuts off that FTK. So once he saw Zombie World in game 1, because I ended up going first, he just ended up immediately conceding. And then he told me in game 2, because I saw the FTK line, but he never went to the FTK. And I was wondering why that was the case. I just ended up grinding him out after that. He told me he ended up signing out the FTK because he thought he can outgrind a zombie deck. That was a mistake on him, wasn't it? Because I just activated Zombie World once again and ended up fucking him. So I ended up 2-0 that one. Then we go into round 3. I ended up versing a Striker. This was my first of what would be 2 Striker matchups. Game 1 was actually going to be conceded to me because his camera started freaking out. You know how remote duels sometimes go. His camera and like computer was glitching out, so he had to restart his computer. But he took the game 1 loss. So we immediately went to game 2. I had no idea what the hell he was playing at this point. So I just ended up not really. I sided in like Droll and Nibiru, which really does nothing against the Striker matchup. So yeah, he ended up just going game 2. Ended up going. I think he made me go second, and I just ended up not drawing like the best hands. And then he just ended up outgrinding me. Then in game 3, however, it was a different case. I made him go first because, again, Striker really does nothing going first. He ended up we again ended up going to a grind match. This is how Striker versus Zombie Eldlich goes. Ended up going to a grind match, and this card is when it came out. I realized I had Vampire Sucker in the extra deck going into it, but I really didn't think it would actually come up that much. It was just a card that was there. to be in the extra deck as a link to link stuff off. And then I realized in the Striker matchup that this card is absolutely bonkers. Going into Vampire Sucker, summoning monsters onto the field. He ended up outing the Striker, and then he was exactly at 1,100 life points when he passed it back to me later in the game. I ended up sending Avendread Savior. He had Shizuku, which was making all my monsters lose 500 attack. So I activated Avendread Savior's effect, send Eldlich, make Shizuku go to 0, and then minus 500 on Avendread was exactly 1,100 life points to kill him. So I ended up winning round 3 as well for that. But I kind of have to put a asterisk on that because, well, game 1 was kind of just a free win for me as well. Going into round 4, I ended up versing another Striker matchup. This time it was way more competitive. I think he ended up going first that matchup. Game 1, again, it was an absolute grind match. I grinded out both Omens and I just could not draw anything. I ended up rivaling the Warlord him. But I knew I was on limited time because I knew eventually he was going to out the Rivalry at some point because he had Omen on the field, but he had no other winged beasts to summon. So once he drew like Nerval or something, I knew it was game. I drew Eldlich, had a pass turn back to him, took a 3k to the face. Going into my next draw, ended up drawing Baylor draw. So I ended up conceding game 1 to him. And then game 2 was really bad. I ended up drawing a really bad hand. Didn't draw any of my side cards like Lancia or anything like that. And then he ended up double twin twistering me, sending Nerval, so he ended up going really full combo with that, so that just ended up being unfortunate. So I got 2-0 there and ended up getting my first loss in the YCS. Now we go into round 4, which we versed Altergeist, which is a very interesting control deck as well. Game 1, I think he ended up winning to go first. He just set up his board. We went to the grind match. Again, that just happens a lot in this format now. And then just him able to recurring his traps from the graveyard using his Altergeist monsters just ended up screwing me in the long run. Game 2 was a very long game, another just grind match. Again, I ended up going first, and I ended up OTKing him because of 7 Cities of the Golden Land, summoning Eldlich the Mad Golden Lord, and then doing Eldlich in Graveyard to summon. That just has a shit ton of damage, and he just couldn't stop that. So he ended up conceding game 2. We go to game 3, and this is the first time time has come up in my YCS journey here. He ended up activating Solemn Judgment, and like literally 2 minutes later, while I was still trying to go through my turn, I had a couple of plays to go through. Judge called time. Him activating Judgment ended up screwing him. I win because of time. Now we go to round 5. I am 4-1 at this point. What do I verse again? Round 5. That's interesting because I ended up versing that. I ended up versing Prank Kids in round 5. Absolutely slaughtered Prank Kids. I feel like this deck and this deck specifically can really kill Prank Kids, and that's without Super Poly because I don't have a Prank Kids fusion monster in my extra deck because I just felt like this deck is good enough to beat it by itself, and that ended up being the case. I ended up going first, ended up striking his normal summon, go Link 1, and then ended up striking the Dropsies. Then it ended up being so he had to pass back to me, and then I just ended up OTKing with Eldlich the Mad Golden Lord and Eldlich again. Go game 2. Draw Nibiru, and yeah, that basically sealed it up once again. Then ended up drawing Rivalry as well. So when I passed it back to him, I just Rivalried him, and that just easy 2-0. It was like at most a 10-minute match. It was a really, really quick match there. We end up going to now we're 5-1 at this point. We're going to round 7 now. This is the second time I will take on Striker. Game 1 again. Just the same thing. We just ended up grind matching, and then he ended up grinding me out more than I can grind him out. So he ended up taking game 1. Game 2, I ended up grinding him more out. In that case, again, Vampire Sucker came up really, really in handy. So there was that as well. Then we went to game 3, and game 3 was called in time, and he already Kiana. I forget how that Link monster is, but every time you activate a spell or trap, you gain 100 life points. So yeah, I ended up losing in time in that one. So I ended up winning in time in one of them and ended up losing in time in all of them. So that was actually my 2 losses. So I go 5-2 at this point. Now we're going into the last round. I ended up versing Tribegage again. Again, Zombie World was just MVP in that matchup. Zombie World is just absolutely just a ridiculous card against Tribe Engage. They can't banish any of their monsters because they're all zombies, and they need to banish winged beasts and stuff like that. Game 2, I think he ended up bricking, and then he passed back to me, and I drew the Rivalry of the Warlords. So that ended up just being a quick 2-0 victory for me. So that's how I ended up going 6-2 in the YCS. I know there's no like visuals and stuff like that. This was just me talking and stuff like that in this. So I do apologize if you're just listening. I know it's kind of more of like a podcast kind of thing, just listen in the background kind of thing for the people who actually care for the matter. I feel like the people who watch the deck profile already clicked off at this point. But yeah, it's very interesting. This deck, I really love this deck. Zombie World can fuck up a lot of decks. Rivalry can fuck up a lot of decks. Super Poly somehow being at 3 is absolutely ridiculous. The Eldlich engine is so perfect with the zombie engine. It's just absolutely amazing. And I'm so glad people are now figuring out Zombie Eldlich is the best variant of Eldlich now that Trident is banned and Zoo Eldlich no longer exists. So yeah, that is it for the video. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more content on the channel. I do upload every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with a live stream either on Saturday or Sunday. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.